Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to First and Short, your first place to get short bits of college football news and analysis. The quarterfinals are T-minus 30 minutes away. I decided to invite my friend here, Anthony. He's a big Ohio State fan. We're doing something new. We're calling it the Fanfare Series, where we bring in fans and we ask them fair questions, right? And so, Anthony, you're a big Ohio State fan. Welcome to the show for you're our first guest, actually.
Let's go.
So welcome, welcome. How you feeling? We're pretty close to game time. How are you feeling today?
Overall, I'm excited. That's the first thing, right? At the end of the day, excited about it because your team has made it. But I will say this, Mash. I think you've known me for a little bit. I am not superstitious, but I'm a little superstitious right now.
You're a little stitious.
A little bit. Only because Ohio State has played on New Year's Eve a few times, and we've lost big games. Also, one of them was to Georgia, which I'm still a little hurt about, but I won't hold it against you right now. So, yeah.
Well, listen, I was at that game a few years ago at the Peach Bowl, and I am very superstitious. I'm extra-stitious.
Okay.
And I will say, like, Ohio State was looking to blow the lid off the game. I went to the bathroom, and that's when Arian Smith caught that touchdown on the side where he blew past the DB. I was in the bathroom for that one, and let's just say I was by the stairs. I wasn't in my seat. I was by the stairs when the field goal went left. So did I cause that? I don't know. In any case.
That's fair. That's fair.
Go ahead.
Can I ask one follow-up question? As a Georgia fan, that hit on Marvin Harris, was it targeting?
I have no definitive. Like, I have not seen an angle to go one way or the other. I don't know. I'll go with whatever the ref said.
That's fair. All right. Okay.
It is what it is. So, listen, Cotton Bowl's about to start. I already asked you what's your initial thoughts, but how are you feeling? What do you feel like? I've provided my keys to the game for each team. I personally think that, it's going to come down to Carson Beck. Is he going to throw a lot of interceptions, or is it going to be a return to form? We didn't see him. We didn't see him in his natural state, I guess, in that game with Texas A&M. I think the wind had something to do with it. But this team, I think I picked Miami to win this game. I think they're gonna try to recreate what Indiana did. I think they're gonna try to recreate what Indiana did because they have a really good defensive line as well. Curious to hear your thoughts. How do you think the game's gonna go? I'm curious to hear your keys to the game, that sort of thing.
Okay. So one, I will say my opinion, it's gonna come down to our O-line because, right as you said, Miami's gonna try to replicate what Indiana did, and the biggest thing that Indiana did against us is their D-line, their linebackers run the backfield all day long. And so one, I don't know what Ryan Day and Matt Patricia mainly Matt Patricia, what he's going to cook up. But I think Ryan Day, my bad about that, because he is calling the plays now that Hartline is gone. And so it's going to be really, how do you handle Bain and that pressure that he's going to be bringing at the end of the day? And I think the key to our success is going to be running that ball. Because one, they want to pin their ears back and just rush us all day long. And so I think, hey, if he can really mix it up and be able to have a good play call, what it is, the combination of runs and passes, I think that's going to be a key point for us because our O-line has been inconsistent all year long. And as we talked about, only team that has really shown that weakness in us is Indiana. So that's going to be the one thing I will say. I think another thing is with our defense. Right, you talked about Carson Beck. Which one will show up? But I think our defense will show up at the end of the day. I think it's
who's going to show up, Karshawn or Carson?
I hope it's Carson. I want Georgia Carson back at this point. I will be happy about that.
Yeah,
but I think it's gonna come down to like, hey, if we can just get them off the field early and get the ball back to our offense, and Julian saying, and building his confidence early. If we can build that confidence early, because last time we saw him was against Indiana, and it wasn't a good performance at all, which hopefully that was an experience that he's like, hey, I can take and learn from this and potentially build from it.
Yeah. Good. Good to hear that. Last year, we know Ohio State, they won the Natty. They had a couple losses on their resume before they get to the playoffs and had like one of the greatest runs I've ever seen. How do you feel like the Indiana loss? What do you think that's doing mentally for the team?
It was great. Really, as Nick Saban would say, right? It was truly rat poison. Because I think this is the same thing that happened last year. Just the timing was different. Because last year we were on a high horse, killing everybody outside of the Oregon game, of course, and we lose to Michigan. which we were a 20-point favorite in that game. And it was just like, all right, boom.
That was a wild one. Yeah.
It was crazy. But that was a great moment for that team. I think they need that realization of like, all right, we are not on that high horse that we thought we were. And I think it provided that extra motivation. And that Indiana loss, which didn't want it to happen at the end of the day, because there are a few things that I think in that game we messed up on. If everyone wants to hang their hat on the kick at the end of the day, right? But it was, think about that 4th-and-1 play call, which is a terrible play call. But I think that game is gonna it provided that extra motivation that this team needs, I think, to truly get over the hump this year, because it was depressing. It was truly depressing at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you mentioned Matt Patricia earlier. Personally, I didn't think Ohio State was going to be even in the position to. You guys are in a great position to run it back to back, right? I thought with the amount of coordinators that you guys were losing last year, offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator, Jim Knowles to Penn State, and then Chip Kelly on offensive side. Anyway, how do you feel about Matt Patricia? I thought he's been great this year. I think he's been lights out.
Yeah. Honestly, I've loved it because you're bringing a coach that has been in the NFL for years, someone that's worked under Bill Belichick. He's been a head coach, wasn't great, but also it was that you have that experience, which is something I think we truly benefit from with Matt Patricia coming there, because one, you combine that experience that he's had, especially on the defensive side, it brings a different environment, but also a different look that, I hate to say it, like, right, he's scheming against young college athletes at the end of the day. And right, he's showing them something that they've never experienced, that even some NFL quarterbacks have struggled with. So I think his success really has been measured in the way that he's been able to scheme up a lot of our defensive plays, because now you have this talent, which Ohio State's going to get talent. We've always had that. Even if you think back to Jim Knowles, right? Well, before Jim Knowles, we've had talent, but we just never had a great play caller to call up those schemes and put the right players in the right position. And I think with Matt Patricia this year, he's elevated that defense way past Jim Knowles has done. And so I've been extremely excited with him coming. Was nervous at first. I was just like, are you going to adapt to college football and the industry and the way that it's played? And he's adapted very well, which I didn't think he would, because it's so fast paced from an offensive standpoint. And what a lot of these coaches are able to cook up, it blows my mind. And he's been able to really pivot and adapt and bring out the best in our team.
Cool. I love it. Let's get off the rails a little bit. Who do you hate the most in the Big Ten?
Who I hate the most in the Big Ten?
Is it the easy answer, Michigan, or is it somebody else?
I may get in trouble for this later on when my wife and my dad see this. It's actually University of Illinois. University of Illinois.
They won their bowl game today.
They did.
Or yesterday against Tennessee.
I think this goes back to, high school. We were getting ready for colleges. Everyone in my high school, it was either,
and you're from Chicago, Chicago. So everybody knows you're from Chicago.
I'm from Chicago, everybody. So you completely understand. High school, everyone, it was either Notre Dame or University of Illinois. That's where it was. And it just got so overwhelming. I was like, I don't like Illinois whatsoever. And my dad he's a Big Ten guy through and through, but Illinois is his team. And I have heard so much. Like we can be talking about football, and he's like, hey, did you see that tackle? I was like, sure. He's like, that's an Illinois guy right there. I'm like, okay, cool, sure. And so you combine that, that's where I think for me, Illinois is my most hated team in the Big Ten.
Okay.
Hate to say it, but
that's
yes.
good. I actually did not. I mean, we're friends, but I actually did not know that. So that's good to know. All right, great. What other questions did I have? Did you have any questions for B?
One question. Thoughts for this game? Because I know you picked Miami.
Yeah.
Thoughts on...
Go ahead.
I was going to say, thoughts on Ryan Day calling the plays today? Well, tonight.
Yeah. So just to go back to my picks, first of all, out of all the serious picks in the first round, I'm 0-2, right? Like I picked Texas A&M to win, and I picked who was on the other side. Anyway, I'm 0-2. So, if I pick Miami to win, that's not anything against. You don't have to take me seriously, is what I'm trying to say. And you asked me, Ryan Day, how do I feel? Yeah, I think that's fine. I think. Well, let me ask you this, because I'm not totally dialed in. When was the last time I think he's had an offense, like a true offensive coordinator, for at least the last 2 years, right? Yeah. So before that, I think he's been great at it. I thought, we already talked about the Ohio State UGA Peach Bowl game. I thought the way he just made CJ Stroud into a gladiator that game was like, that was an amazing, feat, right? So if he can do
Yes.
that again, all of a sudden make Julian Sayin into some powerhouse that we haven't seen, all year because he hasn't been the offensive coordinator, then you guys will win another one, right? No one's
Yeah.
prepared for that. So,
Correct.
yeah.
No. I like that thinking.
Yeah. How do you feel? You feel good about it?
I feel good about it. I think you said something very important there about CJ Stroud because I was talking to a buddy about this last week. For me, it depends which Ryan Day is going to show up. Is it the Ryan Day, right? That's going to have them prepared just like he did last year after that Michigan game? Because everyone like saw him on the sidelines. He was just really like laid back. And it's like, oh, great. Like we're done. And he came out, had that team fired up. Or is it going to be the Ryan Day that's complacent about everything and it's scared play calling? That scared play calling
Yeah.
is what I'm afraid of for Ryan Day. So
I
which
don't know
guy?
if they haven't been in they haven't been in the position too much this year, but I don't know. Maybe it happened in the Big Ten game, but do you feel like he has gone conservative in terms of play calling or like telling his team what to do at times this year?
I think he has. The one I would say the Indiana game was a big component. I know Brian Hartline was calling the plays, but you didn't see that
So you still got to
fire.
listen to the head coach, right?
Exactly. You still do. Like, as I talk about, like that 4th-and-1 play. Why are we doing a QB sneak, man? Let's do a quick slant. Come on. We have the best receiver in the game right now. Why don't we do it there? If you go back, go into the national championship game last year, right? Against Notre Dame. That play call that sealed the game for us on that deep ball on a 3rd or 4th down call, like that is what we want. Be aggressive. Go out there and show us like you're that play call. You're the best team out there. Not maybe we should go for it, maybe we shouldn't. Oh, let's do a QB sneak. Come on. Julian saying he's not that guy. Like if that
Right.
was Justin Fields back there, oh yeah, let's do it. But so that's my only thing.
Gotcha. All right, last question. I know we need to wrap it up. Jeremiah Smith, great place to end it. What are his stat line look like tonight?
Jeremiah Smith. If it's not this game, it's the next game. But we're gonna go this game. He's going over 125 tonight.
125.
Because he's going over 125.
Big chunk plays or a lot of targets.
He's gonna have at least 2 big plays, but I think everything else is gonna be chunk plays. And I say that only because USC's receiver Lemon, I can't remember his first name, he won
Makai Lemon, yeah.
on the receiver award, and right after he won, Jeremiah Smith tweeted, and I said, "Oh, that is more motivation. That is what we need." So over 125 tonight. I feel bad for these DBs, so that's what's going down.
Gotcha. I asked that, I should have looked up the FanDuel, whatever it is, but we don't even promote betting on here, so it's all good.
That's right.
All right, Anthony, I appreciate appreciate you pulling up to the podcast. I'm gonna try to get this out before the game starts here in a little bit. Appreciate you joining. Any final words before we log off?
Final words, except just go Bucks, man. Let's run it back again. That's all I have.
Love it. Anthony, thanks for joining. Audience, thank you for watching First and Short. This has been a great episode. Talk to you guys soon.
See you. Boo.